And welcome back for a new season of college football. And we are introducing you to the 2025-2026 season, presented by the 480 Experience. This is Trevenchy, another CFP special, and we are going to be covering the two marquee matchups to look forward to on Friday Night Lights. Bangs and fireworks. There is a lot of ruckus going down all across the country for these next 3 days. We start off week one on a Thursday night, and we have some good games to look forward to. But the two marquee matchups I'd like to cover deserve all the spotlight, and that is why we keep this video separate as a marquee matchup video from the Saturday games. And I have also elected 6 games from Saturday that I'll be doing another marquee matchup special on. So, Trevenchy's takes coming back again. Of course, we're going to put a little bit more love on the Big 12 teams, but deservingly so. And you'll be surprised on my perceived outcomes of these two games, but we'll save that for later. So I want to start it off with a game that I'm really looking forward to, and that is going to be the Baylor Bears hosting the Auburn Tigers. Now, I want to say this about the Auburn Tigers. Coach Hugh Freeze, is on the hot seat, right? What I mean by that is this is a really important year for him to at least convey confidence within the fan base that he is the guy, he is the character to help this Tigers team out. Now, where does Hugh Freeze come from, and why was there so much instilled confidence in this guy? And that's because he was off of a few years of some great offensive performances within Liberty University, helping out projects like Malik Willis, who ended up becoming an NFL quarterback. Hugh Freeze had a lot going for him in which he was expressing his offensive identity, and bringing that in over to Auburn, really, they felt like that would have been a compliment to their usual staple defense. You know, Auburn, as an Alabama football school, is known for their trench involvement. And so them building off of a usual strong defense and complementing it with an offensive-minded guy in Hugh, they really thought that this was going to be a match made. And what I want to allude to about this offense and Hugh Freeze is there's actually a lot of instability going on. And we have Jackson Arnold, who was previously the quarterback out of Oklahoma. We have him earning a starting role in camp. It wasn't earned through the transfer. It was earned through camp. And what that really sums up to is they were a little unaware of who was going to lead the team going into the spring. And anytime those kind of things happen, it either applies the pressure that'll make a diamond, or it cracks the team in half before the season even starts. So one thing I want to bring up about with this offense, on top of the quarterback instability, or could be stability if Jackson Arnold plugs and plays, is the fact that Hugh Freeze, as an offensive play caller, is complemented with his offensive coordinator, Derek Nix. So Derek Nix is the running back coach as well, and I think what this conveys to me is that they have a lot of confidence in their ability to run the ball this year, right? I think one of their newest pieces that I really will appreciate watching in Eric Singleton Jr., previously from Georgia Tech. I think this guy is going to be a staple to this offense. Now, watching some press conference within the Auburn group and the Auburn community, you know, he is still not 100%. This is a red flag to me. Eric Singleton is a volatile receiver in the way where he is known for his motions, his speeds, finding separation on short routes, but that doesn't convey confidence in me seeing him as a number one option. So who they see as this number one option in Auburn is Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman he's a sophomore this year, but off of a great year last year. And I think what they're trying to build off is having that, that route runner complemented with that big body dual threat receiver. Cam Coleman looks like an NFL receiver for sure. So does Eric Singleton. I think Eric Singleton would be much better in a different situation though. So what I want to allude to is specifically their run game, right? I like Damari Alston. I think he's a good running back. I know they have a lot of confidence in Jeremiah Cobb. Just thinking about the awareness of this Auburn offense, I think they're there. It's just more about establishing the identity. Really, I have no idea what to expect with this Auburn team, and them going all the way to Baylor, Waco, Texas. isn't that going to add a little bit of nerve to the outcome? I mean, to their performance. And so this is where I start to kind of show you my side of it, right? Or at least where I'm leaning. And right now, acknowledging the Baylor Bears for what they are, I trust David Arenado to bring us a good season. And I'm not speaking to us like, no, I'm not supporting. I'm just saying bring us as football fans a good season. So one thing I really want to acknowledge about Baylor is they left the season hot. Like they left it on a good note. Yeah, they lost to LSU, and I think it was the Texas Bowl, but really it was a bowl game that didn't minimize their performance to finish off the season. They finished off 6-0, right? They beat Texas Tech 59-35 and didn't lose a game since in the Big 12. And with that, there's a lot of carryover going into the summer, and these guys have a lot more buy-in because of it. And so what I really like about this Baylor team is their defense, but it's also how it's complemented by a great offense, right? Like, really, defensive-minded coach David Arenado, who was the defensive coordinator for the Joe Burrow LSU Tigers of 2019, and he makes his way into Baylor trying to get back into Texas football. He originally started as a graduate assistant under the Mike Leach coaching tree. So what this tells me is this guy is a true believer in playing good defense, and that defense wins championships. And so what led him to his most successful season with Baylor in 2021 was a great defense, top defense in the Big 12. I mean, it was them and Oklahoma State hand in hand. So now count 4 years later, what I really wanted to highlight about a line that I absolutely loved hearing from Arenado's presser was that this is the best depth he's had his entire career at Baylor. And that's saying a lot, right? Like, I'm going off of defense because that's his staple. And I really like some of the players they have, okay? I like Keaton Thomas as an inside linebacker dog. He looks like a Sunday player. I know that they have a lot of confidence in their DB core. Devin Bobby is going to be really good this year. He's going to prove himself. But they have Caden Jenkins and Tevin Williams, who are also really good staples at the cornerback position. So they have their backups. He's gonna fill in this Saturday because DJ Coleman is looking unhealthy. So we'll have Tyler Turner fitting in, but he's a great transfer as well. And so what I'm trying to get with this is that Arenado finally has a defense that he can just settle into. And so I appreciate that for sure. I also want to say that what makes a good college football team is how well they can fill into their identity. And so Baylor's identity as a defensive-minded team, I feel like they're going to fill into it perfectly. But now, this is where I get to my point about their offense. Their offense is primed for a great season, okay? Jake Spavital, the offensive coordinator of many other amazing quarterbacks, like the names of Johnny Manziel and Geno Smith, is going into a second year with his quarterback. All right. Sawyer Robinson was actually competing for a quarterback starting job last year into this time of the year. And what that tells me is they had rocky waters going on into the season. And now that Sawyer's really established himself, coming originally from Mississippi State with Mike Leach, now coming out here with Baylor and having another year with the Spavital offense, I am loving what I'm expecting. And really, what I want to acknowledge about Baylor is that it's not about the whole passing attack. It's really the running game. They have a top 5 running back room in college football. They have Brian Washington and Pendergrass, who is just amazing. Dawson Pendergrass, don't want to do you dirty, my boy. But really, what this is telling me is they're primed to make a dual threat offense. They want to put that out there. And I'm going to go deeper into the Big 12. I'm going to, assess how people's offenses are looking, who's looking more dangerous, and the reason why I'm doing these Big 12 schools is because they have harder opponents this week. The other schools are playing, developing programs that, they'll just put out their backups in by the third quarter. But this is not the case right here. Baylor is going to be hosting the Auburn Tigers. And when do you have an opportunity to knock off an SEC school so early in the season, make a name for yourself? What I also want to bring up about Baylor is their strength of schedule. Right after this game, they are going straight to Dallas. They are going to play at SMU, and that in itself is going to be a terribly, terribly difficult game because anytime you're playing in Dallas, they got a lot going for them in that SMU program. That's going to be a really hostile environment. And so I think pressure makes diamonds with this first game. I think this is almost like a have. You have to win this game because it really makes or breaks your season. Now, with Auburn, I get what we're alluding to with Hugh Freeze being on the hot seat and a lot of instability with their quarterback room. But let's not downplay their amazing defense, and let's not downplay that they do still have some skill on the outside, right? Like they have Sunday players on the outside. So I am really primed and excited to sit down on my couch and enjoy those two DBs versus those two receivers when I'm talking about Baylor on defense, Auburn on offense. Jackson Arnold's known as a running game quarterback, just based off his tape from Oklahoma. And I think they're going to have to stick with that because there's no way they're going to be able to open up the playbook so early into the season. It just won't happen. You have to keep it vanilla for the first few weeks so that your quarterback can get acclimated to the identity. So right now, I'm obviously leaning towards Baylor because it's a home game for them. They have a lot more stability going for them. And I think because they are downplayed so much by mainstream media that their chips on their shoulders will profess a really dominating performance. And man, I'm just looking at their trenches within. I do like their offensive line, a very veteran-savvy offensive line. And I also like their D-line as well. But more importantly, you have your star of your defense in the middle, and you have great DBs, and even Coach Arenado is telling me or telling us in the pressers, hey, we're going to be rotating a lot. These DBs are going to be rotating a lot, and we just want to give the opposing quarterback a lot of different looks to keep him confused. And really, when I saw it from the Auburn side of it, they said, we're going to be playing a very zone-heavy defense. Well, that might not be the case. You might be trying to do motions with Singleton, and you might not get what you're looking for. And really, how are you going to pivot and make adjustments? And I believe in Arenado to win that in-game situation better than Hugh Freeze, trying to still have and work on his buy-in within his players. And really just, I don't know if it's, I can't say he's not sure of himself. Like, he doesn't sound like that. He sounds confident, but it's also like he's aware of the process and he knows he's a lot earlier in the process than Baylor happens to be. So give me Baylor winning this home game as an underdog as well, surprisingly, right? Yes. So now we go on to our next marquee matchup of Friday Night Lights, and this one feels a lot more high schooly, right? Because what more than seeing Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes play a year after having his son as the star quarterback and a Heisman winner, and now trying to bounce back and host Georgia Tech, who actually had one of the greatest week one games of the year or of history. I mean, last year, Georgia Tech went into Dublin and knocked off Florida State, and Florida State was primed to have a phenomenal season. That may have broken their season as well. So we go into this game, and Folsom Field is going to be rocking, right? I really like this Colorado team in terms of depth, and I do actually believe this is a better team than the teams they've had the last 2 years. What gives me that sort of statement is really within the additions in their trenches. I really do like their line, their whole right side of their line in Zylan Chrysler and Larry Johnson. Those guys are new. Larry Johnson was previously from Tennessee. Chrysler transfer, right? But really what this is telling me is that they locked down their stability, right? Like they wanted to give, they wanted to give their O-line something real again. Like it was the last 2 years, you had the talent. You had Jordan Seaton, who was the big name come in as the left tackle, but he was young. and everyone else was young or almost like journeyman college football players, right? And no disrespect, it was journeyman performances, journeyman blockers trying to protect Jador Sanders. And really now we're getting into a Colorado team that is more focused on stability, more focused on identity. They announced Caden Slater as the starter, who originally came from Liberty. This guy is a legit quarterback as well, and I am excited to see what Colorado can do going up against a really tough Georgia Tech team. Some names that I really want to acknowledge as guys that I'm just excited to watch. I am so excited to watch Amari McNeil down in the trenches on defense. I think this D-line is primed to have a great season for Colorado, and with the professional coaching that they have, like, it's not about the Dion thing. It's about the connections. It's about the feed loop or the feedback loop that Dion puts his program in. It's like you are doing nothing but you're inputting nothing but professionalism into these kids, into these coaches, into this program, and you really are manifesting a great football team. You can't tell me that Deion Sanders is doing a wrong job. He is doing everything right. Yes, he has a lot of national awareness. His exposure is higher than any other coach. But really, this has become a successful program because of him. And I don't care about the accolades within the championships, the hardware. I know. I'm really just providing narratives here, right? I know they care about the accolades. They do a lot. But me just adding narratives here, they have built a successful program, and I can't be more proud of Colorado. I grew up watching them, and I've grown up seeing their 1-win seasons, and it's not a good scene. And so Colorado now being in the shape, starting off week 1 again with another early game that is it's a really exciting early game for them. This is huge for the program. So hosting Georgia Tech, I'm really excited. Georgia Tech actually has an amazing team, a lot of players coming back. Let me just say, I do love the program under Brent Key. I think he's an amazing motivator, but more importantly, true to his identity. I see nothing but authenticity with this program, and really, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with their team within the ACC, right? Like, they have 2 really hard matchups in Clemson and Georgia this year, and man, like, in itself, those 2 teams, and one of them you have to host. You have to split with one of them, really. Like, you can't fault and just take the loss on those two powerhouses before the season even started, because that leaves you hanging with one more trap game, and you're already expecting 3 losses. I don't feel that within the coverage that I've seen, the pressers. I don't feel like Jaw Tech is settling for that outcome. So I think this is their post for a better year. I do like their schedule a lot more. Home game wise, they have a lot of good home games, and away game wise, they're not that scary. But I just want to say this, going from the offseason, Jaw Tech has a lot of confidence in Buster Faulkner to help out Haynes King in translating a lot of his performances into this year. Haynes King was dealing with some tough injury issues, and that's the cost of being a dual threat quarterback the way he is. But really what Jaw Tech did was they added 2 amazing receivers on the outside with the effort of improving their passing offense. So we got Eric Rivers and we have Malik Rutherford. Those 2 guys are originally from FIU, Florida International, and staple receivers, really talented receivers. And even Eric Rivers mentioning that he was highly sought after as soon as the transfer portal began. So I just want to say that in itself, I believe in Jaw Tech because Jamal Haynes as their running back and Haynes King as their quarterback, I think seeing that, I want to say that familiarity again, after they put proof to put paper last year, they can do this again, and they're the most healthiest they'll be all season. So I do like Jaw Tech going into Folsom Field and knocking off Colorado because I think Colorado's a team that will get better as the year progresses. But all in all, I mean, I hate to disrespect a fellow Big 12 brother in Colorado, but I don't feel like it's disrespect. I just think Jaw Tech will be more prepared for this situation, this game, and they're going into the season with higher expectations of themselves, knowing that they're capable. So I like this game a lot as a Friday Night Lights game. Like it feels like very high schooly, like, Jaw Tech, Colorado, two teams that really need to prove themselves but have the most insane talent. And then you got an amazing stapled game where this is just like 90s football, even though I wasn't born in the 90s, I wasn't alive, but this feels like a traditional game in Baylor hosting Auburn. So all in all, I love these Friday Night Lights games. I'm really excited to see how these teams translate into the season, but more importantly, excited to see what college football brings in store for us fans, us communities, us families, and more importantly, the coverage that we bring from the 480 experience. But you will see and hear more from us throughout the season. Stay subscribed and stay in the loop. I'm excited to see you guys at Sun Devil Stadium or Mountain America Stadium whenever the time comes. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I appreciate the time today.